Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. This is my tips and tricks guide for Honda in Street Fighter 6. So before we get into it, as always with these videos, they're long videos and we're going to be covering a lot of topics, from simple stuff to advanced concepts and points in between. So this video will have timestamps for you to skip around with, so please skip forward to whatever makes sense for you. That said, if you can give the video a like, it would be greatly appreciated, because these kind of videos take a long time to make. That said here, let's start with the basics here, and first things first, what exactly is Honda's game plan? What does he hope to accomplish in Street Fighter 6? So as the time of me recording this, Street Fighter 6 has been out for about 2 weeks, so it's the early days of the game, and Honda's sort of been rising to the ranks as potentially the most hated and feared character in the game. And why is that? Well, it's because of the game plan. And the game plan, for a character that's hated and feared, you think to be like all sorts of tricks and gimmicks, and no. Honda's game plan, what Honda wants to achieve in this game, is about as simple gets. He walks forward, he's got some good buttons, and we'll talk about those more in depth later on in the video. But he does have the proud ownership of the Sumo Headbutt and the butt stomp, and these moves are incredibly powerful moves for the most part. They are not dominant moves necessarily, but they're quick, they do a lot of damage, they do a lot of guard gauge damage, or drive gauge damage specifically rather, and they're just strong just to throw them out, and that is frustrating for some people, but that's, for Honda, a legitimate game plan. Yes, you do want to use Honda's very strong buttons, because he's got a lot of strong buttons. You do want to use a lot of Honda's like interesting tools, like his sumo buffs, to help his combo structure and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of time you're just going to sit down back and just wait. And people hate waiting around. A lot of people want to go, and Honda's one of the few characters in the game that can just chill for a minute. You can just hold down back and block and just say, nah, let's slow it down for a little bit. And then maybe toss out a random headbutt, right? Which makes people mad, but once again, legitimately, this is real game plan, this is real gameplay. Honda's really good at it. So between this kind of stuff, the fact that he has a very strong anti-air suite, which also predicate on the headbutts as well, and the butt slams as well, right? So a lot of his good stuff is just him sitting and waiting and then just tossing out something and seeing what happens. So if you like a more chill experience, you know, just hanging out for a second, not always having to set up a trap or contesting neutral, or just doing, if you just want to hold down back and have a rest sometimes, Honda's a good character for it. Now that said here, let's go over his moveset. So now talking special moves here, let's start with the showstopper, I suppose, the Sumo Headbutt. This is where a lot of your bread will be buttered. This is why people will probably send you bad messages once you beat them online. This move is basically the move. So what is the move? It's a charge move, and charge specifically in this game is 40 frames. So as long as you charge for 40 frames or more, you'll have charge, and the handy dandy little frame counter here in the inputs will tell you how long you've been charging for. And you can headbutt with light, medium, or heavy buttons, or of course naturally you can EX, right? So what's the differences here? Which headbutts do you want to use? Well, I guess one thing to note here, light and medium headbutts both have the same startup, just medium travels further. A heavy headbutt has a bit slower startup here. It is 14 frames versus 10 frames for the light and medium versions. So you could say it's 40% slower startup if you want to work it out the math that way, but still it's very good. And of course, the heavier the button, the more damage you do, right? Now, the one thing here that's very much in Honda's benefit is all the headbutts are safe on block. They are all -4. And no 4-framer is going to reach from pushback. And every heavier button press pushes back further and further, as you can see here. So yes, Honda is indeed -4. Technically not his turn, but -4 from this far away doesn't really matter, honestly. Like, do not feel dissuaded to potentially just walk back and hit a button, try to catch whatever they're going to press, because it might just work out in your favor. The EX headbutt is super armored and also does more damage yet. And not only is it super armored, it has multiple hits of super armor. It has 2 hits specifically. So even against multi-hitting fireballs, he can absorb the extra hit. Usually a lot of armor move in this game is 1 hit of armor. For Honda, it is indeed 2 hits of armor. So feel safe in blowing through whatever. Also, the armor starts up on frame 1, which means in a lot of cases this is going to be your primary wake up move, as it'll defeat whatever they're trying to attack you with, and it's much faster than, say, the drive impact is. I guess the one thing to note, as an armored move, it is, well, armored, which means it's not invincible, therefore you can be thrown out of it. So keep that in mind if you're getting thrown in the corner or something like that. Also, all headbutts enjoy a degree of air invincibility. This is light, medium, and heavy headbutts. In other games, you know, depending on the game, it could be light headbutt, it could be heavy headbutt. In this game, it is every headbutt has some level of anti-air invincibility. So if you see people jump, it's a pretty good button to use against them. It is indeed a primary combo tool, so expect to be using it a lot in just about every given situation. It is a great combo ender. It has a very long knockdown period as well, which is very beneficial for a lot of reasons, as we'll go over later in the video, not the least of which is it usually gives a guaranteed sumo buff. But yeah, long story short, man, Sumo Headbutt is a massive part of the character, and it's about the best it's ever been in the franchise's history, so use it and abuse it. Now, going from one signature move to another, the Sumo Buttslam. So that is charge down, then up and kick. Now, it's basically as advertised. It will kind of go up and then slam you down with his butt. Now, a couple things to note. One, this move is modular. So say we are exactly the opposite end of the screen. Here's the normal distance, right? Except if I hold back or forward while doing the move, I can change the steering of the move. I can either stay closer if I hold back, or I can go further out if I hit forward. So effectively, there is 3 ranges to the move: close, medium, and far. So close, hold backwards; medium, just let it rock as it is; and far, hold forward while you're doing it. And naturally as well, say you're doing the move here and did the far version, you can also cross up with it, so you can force the enemy to change their block, which is fantastic. Now, another thing to note here, this move is advantage on block. No matter where it lands, how it lands, as long as you make them block it, you will be at least +1 on block, which means when you're just sort of both here, if you hit your fast button, they hit their fast button, you're going to win. Simple as that, right? So that will definitely enforce the enemy to play just a little bit passive, right? Because when you're +1, that's great. And also once they're not hitting buttons, you can go for your grab, which we'll talk about later. So yeah, it's really strong overall. And also has extra powerful properties against people who throw fireballs in this game, but we'll cover that in its own section. So it's difficult to deal with, has multiple ranges, can cross up, hard to block sometimes, hard to just stop, even if you know it's coming sometimes. Usually the best answer is just parry, because the move drains a significant amount of drive gauge on block, so at least gain that gauge back. Yeah, he's +1, but it's not the end of the world, right? So very powerful move all in all. Next up, we have the 100-hand slap. So this one's changed how it's been for like the last, well, forever, honestly. So in every other Street Fighter, basically except for this one, it was just mash punches. And this time, it ain't no mashing. It's just a simple motion. Quarter circle back and one of your 3 punch buttons. And the heavier the punch button, you have more hits, you do more damage, as you would expect. Now, that means basically it's relegated more to combo fodder. So in a lot of combos, if you can go for like a headbutt, or say you can go for like a butt stomp or something, those are usually more ideal, but you don't necessarily always have the charge, right? However, now in the case of 100 hand slap, you can just toss this out whenever. As long as you connect with the move at all, you will always be able to go into 100 hand slap. So that's really, really good. So again, mostly for combos. Also, the EX version specifically is really good for combos, as it'll always let you do a combo follow-up after the fact. At bare minimum, you'll always be able to link a crouching jab after the EX hand slaps, which means you can link a crouching jab, and that means if you can land a crouching jab, you can land a headbutt, and if you can land a headbutt, then, well, you know, world's your oyster, you can go to level 3 super, something like that, right? So very good combo ability, also heavily affected by his buff, which we'll talk about, well, right now. So Honda has the Sumo Spirit buff. That's just down, down, any kick, and the kick doesn't matter, it's always the same move. As you see here, there's a little bit of steam growing off his body here. He has a little bit of an icon showing he has the buff below his health bar. And what will happen here is it will turbocharge your next 100 hand slap. So that was light hand slap. Normally light hand slap is just this, right? But with the buff, you see that little slap at the end, right? And you'll get that no matter which version you do. You get that slap in the end. And the slap at the end, on top of doing more damage, which is fantastic, will let you get a combo follow-up, no matter what. So even the most basic and humble combo like this, right? 2 jabs, hands. Now we can get a combo follow-up here. After the buff, we can get another jab in, get a headbutt after the fact. So that is great. So basically, whatever your next hit is, you're going to do more damage. Simple as that, right? It can be something as simple as like a basic jump in, right? Okay, I hit that. That means I get an extra follow-up. I get the extra jab, I get the headbutt, I get a bit more damage on my combo. It's just straight up pure damage, pure benefit. That's really all I can say. Also, specifically on the EX version, because you can already combo after the X version normally, it gives you better combo ability. So you can combo into, say, stand light punch target combo, and then get more damage that way, and also combo into a heavier headbutt, getting even more damage. So more damage across the board, and an additional bonus. It lets you combo into hands for moves that normally cannot combo into hands. Like, say, with the buff up here, we can go crouch heavy punch into the hand slaps, right? Crouch heavy punch normally can never, ever, ever combo into hands. Only with the buff can we combo into hands. It also buffs the Neko Damashi, the clap, which we'll talk about on its own in a minute here. But if you have the buff up and you clap, you can go right into hands after the fact. For the most part, you have to combo into medium or light. Heavy's a little too slow. But since you can combo from clap, you can combo from certain situations that you normally couldn't. Like, say, both hits a stand heavy kick, right? So you can do this, go into clap, and then go into hands, and then go into a follow-up and get more damage, right? So across the board, you get more damage all the time because you get more combo opportunities, and even more opportunities because it lets you combo in hands for moves that normally can't combo in hands. So every time you are able, you should absolutely go for the buff. And FYI, every time you get a headbutt, that's basically a guaranteed buff. So there you go. Use it and abuse it. Now, the clap. So this is down, down punch, and the punch doesn't matter. It's the same move regardless, right? So the main use for the clap, this is a returning move from Street Fighter V. Specifically, this was one of his V skills. And the main use here is it destroys projectiles. So you can just kind of go in and not have to block, not have to siege your ground. You can meet that fireball head on and just clap it out of existence. Honda's a pretty tough guy, and he can literally just swap the fireballs aside with his hands. So that's good. Now, one thing to note, it only can deal with a single hit of a fireball. So if the fireball happens to be multiple hits, you'll clap part of it away. You will interact with it, but then you'll get hit by it in the end, right? So watch out for that. It's only really for single hit fireballs. Now, besides that, when you have the buff up, once again, as we talked about earlier, you can combo from your clap into hands, which means you basically get to extend the combo, and the buff already extends the combo. So it's 2 layers of combo extension, which means you do more damage overall. It is also very safe on block. It's only -3, so even point blank, they can't punish you for it. And say that you connect, one of the interesting things is it is +3. So -3 on block, +3 on hit, which means you can kind of enforce a little bit of a, am I going to hit you or am I going to throw you gimmick? So that's really solid. So sometimes it is potentially in your benefit to not go for the heaviest damage combo you can after, landing some hits, and instead enforce the mix-up because you might get more damage overall in the end. So it's not his most important move or anything, but it's a good tool in the arsenal for sure, and it has some fun little gimmicks, which we'll talk about later on in the video. Next up is Oicho Nage. So this is the Oicho Throw. He throws you down, literally slams his butt in your face, and does pretty respectable damage, all things told. Now, a thing to note here. This is a true command grab, so you can't tech it, you can't get out of it. The only way to get out of it is to not be there, be dashing, backdashing rather, or be in the air, right? But it's not quite spinning pile driver or anything like that. He's not a primary grappler like, say, Zangief is. That said, however, for a character that's not a primary grappler, this is a pretty dang good throw. So one thing to note here, unlike Zangief, it's just a little bit slower, 7-frame startup. Zangief's just 5, but still 7 frames, that's plenty fast. No, ain't nobody reacting to that, right? The damage is very incremental. So light version is 2,000, and every version going up, medium is 2,200, heavy is 2,400, and the EX gains a pretty significant damage boost. Actually, it'll be 2,800, Most other grappler EX throws only does a small damage boost. This is actually a fairly large damage boost. The lighter versions have more range, roughly around here. From this range here, the heavy would definitely not connect, right? So the heavier the move is, more damage it does, but the penalty is it has less range. So the heavy version have to be right here, light version can be right here, and the EX is to have a medium because you get the range, but you also get the most damage. So if you're a little further out, EX is definitely the one to go for. And since there's no damage scaling in this game at low health, this is definitely a big time round closer because that's a good chunk of damage. Also, again, not Zangief. So after the grab, it's a full reset to neutral basically. You're not getting anything after, right? The grab was its own reward. But still, well, once again, the grab was its own reward. So you got a good chunk of change in and then you reset backwards. Very powerful tool for Honda and lots of ways to threaten it. Very good move for sure. And our final special move here for Honda is all new. Honda's been kind of rocking the same moveset for some years. So this is all new and it's a mini stance. This is the Sumo Dash. So this is actually a traditional sumo exercise, just FYI. And it's quarter circle forward kick and he has two options from it. One, he can go for either just multiple chops here, multiple slaps. It's actually two different button presses, so you don't have to follow up with the third one, which is great. Because specifically on block, the opponent here, if you just do the first hits, it's safe on block. And the third hit is not safe, FYI. But there is a little gap. So if they try to press buttons right after the fact, the third hit will smack them out of it. So it's a little bit of a will he, won't he kind of follow through. Also, fun fact, if you do the enhanced version, it is now advantage on block. It's Honda's turn, right? So basically now... immediately guess, is he going to go hit a button or is he going to go for the throw, right? So pretty powerful stuff. So that's just hitting punches. The other option we have is the stance into down and punch. And this guy is a true blue launcher that you can follow up and do all sorts of combos and moves from. You can headbutt them. You can do fancy drive rush cancel combos and go from there. You're probably going to be using just in a lot of combos in general. It's a meterless launcher. You get a lot of damage from it. It's a general workhorse. It's a very important move for Honda's combo structure as a whole. And it's also very friendly with a lot of other moves. Say we have that buff up that we talked about earlier, right? If we do the launcher, then we do hands. It'll bounce them off the ground, like juggle them from that combo state. And then we can get a headbutt follow-up or something like that, rather than just the usual little jab or something. So... it's just really important. It's a great addition to his moveset, and it's just a giant value add to the character as a whole. You're going to be using this move a lot in both versions, just the chops and the launcher part of it as well. Now to talk the supers. His level 1 super, just double quarter circle forward punch. It may look a little plain, I know, but it's actually one of the best level 1 supers in the game, and by a fair bit. So 1, it is strike invincible like many level 1s. So it'll go through any attack. It won't go through fireballs, but it will go through any attack. Also, it's 7 frame startup, which makes it tied for fastest level 1 in the game. And unlike those other level 1s, once again, it's invincible. The other ones that are just as fast are not invincible. And it also has more range than them. So you can actually punish moves with this that other characters cannot punish at all. Like straight up. You'll have to get into the weeds looking at the frame data and all that kind of stuff. I've made other videos about that as well. But other characters are not safe just doing the same brain dead offense against Honda as they are everyone else. Because Honda is very fast and has a lot of range and he can reach them when, you know, you think otherwise he could not get them back. This is actually an amazing move. Not the least of which is it also works fantastically with his combo structure. So let's take a basic launcher here. And we've already talked about how after launcher you can do all sorts of moves. So let's say 100 hand slap, right? And the heavy version getting the most damage in. And since the level 1 super is so fast, we can actually get that after the hand slaps. As you can see here, right? And that adds a pretty sizable chunk of damage to that combo. That's 1200, right? With the scaling. And as a level 1, it does have minimum scaling. No matter how long your combo is, it'll always do at least 30% of its full damage, even if it's like a 20 hit combo. So It's just a good way to just add extra value to a combo in the corner, because he has a lot of ways to combo into it. And of course, combo guide linked at the end of this video if you want to check that out. So good to punish things, invincible reversal, good combo value, just really good super all in all. Now to talk his level 2 super. So this is a full charge super. So hold back, forward, and kick. Now you might notice here little frame data meters on here. The beginning frames are all silver. That is full invincibility. So unlike say level 1, it's invincible to fireballs, strikes, throws, anything you could throw at it. It's completely invincible to, and it holds a very specific niche in that fireballs. Like Honda can do a bit against them, but the problem is there's a lot of weaknesses, right? Even if you correctly clap it, if it's multiple hit, you're still gonna get hit and all that kind of stuff. This move is the gotcha. You throw anything, haha, I react, and well, I gotcha. So you're using this invincibility and its relative speed to catch whatever they're throwing. Because sometimes for Honda, it's hard to just work your way in. So with this, it's just, okay, you know, I'm just going to stop for a second. If I have the 2 bars, let's see what you're going to do. And if I catch you, you're done like dinner. Also, being a level 2, minimum scaling is 40%. So it is good at the end of certain combos. So that helps too, but it's basically a checkmate move. Just hold back to see what's going on. And if they throw a fireball or something that has a longer animation, you can just react with the level 2 and they're done like dinner. Simple as that. So very valuable move. Good defensive move. When you have 2 bars, they have to start paying attention. And finally, his level 3. So level 3, not much to say, honestly. It's the big dumb cinematic super that does a heck of a lot of damage. In my opinion, especially the critical art version, I think it's the best looking super in the game. I love how that looks. The one thing that's extra beneficial for Honda specifically is it's just about the easiest level 3 to combo into in the game. You can combo into it from any version of hands at all, anywhere in the middle of any combo. You can combo into it from any version of headbutt as long as it's the close version of headbutt. Any juggle, very easy to go into hands, very easy to go into the super from there. You can also tack it on the end some more, you know, fancy drive rush combos, something like this, right? Or perhaps, you know, extra fancy drive rush combos. Like, it's just so easy to combo into, right? Anywhere on the screen, doubly so in the corner. So, as far as like uses in neutral or like weird set play or gotcha moments, the gotcha supers are the level 1 and level 2 supers. This is just a lot of damage, and it's very easy to land it off just about any situation. So, far as level 3s go, it's not like a master plan, master class move, but you can land it just about any time you land a hit, which means it's really good at closing out rounds. Now, let's talk notable normals, and Honda is very blessed because he's got a lot of really good normals. So I guess let's start with an exemplary example here, Stand Heavy Punch. Stand Heavy Punch is a lot of different things. It's a poke, it's a counter poke, and it's an anti-air, and also it's your punish counter move. So one of the things here, let's bring out the frame data meter here. You might notice even if it hits literally point blank, it doesn't hit on the first active frame. Because the move is basically 3 different stages. The first stage is like the anti-air portion. The second stage is the part that you can cancel into for special moves, like say right here. And the third stage is basically like the purely whiff punish part of the move. It's very rare for a move to have like multiple tiers of use like this, but so be it, I suppose, right? Also, he gives his side a good little slap here every time he's done the move, so it's just really good. So it's pretty good at smoking people out of the air specifically. It is very specific angles though. If they're more like directly on top of you, you can get people, but it has to be on like basically that first active frame. Past that, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but still, basically anything kind of directly above you to diagonal, it will be able to catch as long as you're on the ball. So very strong anti-air. We also mentioned in neutral because it's good in neutral, has a lot of active frames and it can catch buttons for a whiff punish. It also has the additional punish counter effect. That's that gunshot basically going off, right? So if you catch people with a whiff, it'll give you effectively a guaranteed combo. Now, depending on how close you are will really matter. So say in situations where you use it as a whiff punish, you're probably gonna have to like drive rush forward and do whatever combo from there. But if it's more up close, like say you block a reversal, so they're just delivered to you on a silver platter, right? Then they're right in front of you, so you don't necessarily have to burn any additional resources. you can just go into whatever combo directly from there and finish it out, right? So it's also a go-to punish button, it's a go-to anti-air, it's a go-to neutral button, it's a go-to whiff punish button. It's a very magic button and one of the best overall buttons in the game. Now that said, Honda's not hurting for good buttons as we mentioned here, so let's talk some other ones. Crouch medium kick's really good just because he doesn't have much in the way of lows other than that like crouch leg kick. And it's quite advantage on hit, doesn't need a counter hit, doesn't need a punish counter. It's +5 on hit, which means it goes directly into stand light punch, into the target combo, into a full combo. So that's a cool 2,000 damage just because you hit crouch medium kick. And it's also single hit confirmable if you tell if they block or not. It's also safe on block. So it's just something really good to toss out. Also not the worst button to go for off just a raw drive rush. Stand medium punch, crouch medium punch, both really good. They both have 4 active frames, so they're out there a lot longer than most moves in this game. So if you're looking to say whiff punish buttons, as we mentioned here before, right? Crouch medium punch specifically, exceptionally good at just like whiff punishing in general. And you can go into hands or whatever from there. Stand medium punch is just out there for a long time as well. So it's really just good for like contesting space. Either you might trade or you just might counter hit them out of their move because it has a good amount of range. And also, since we have the little frame data meter up here, let's go into one of its more sterling advantages in that it's advantage on block. Street Fighter 6, there is not many advantage on block moves in this game. There just isn't. So having a move that is plus on block is great, especially because right after they block it, you know, okay, I can threaten you with a jab. If we both hit a button, I'm going to win. And you also happen to just be in command grab range, which is extra exceptional. So just off a block stand medium punch, you might be able to enforce strike throw mix just out of the gate, right? Because if you try to hit a button, I might bop you. And if you just stand still, I might throw you. So the mediums are doing pretty good. Medium punches and medium kicks, they're all really good. Now, this is one of the showstopper moves here. Honda forward heavy kick. This is command normal. And it's pretty basic looking, right? He just kind of kicks your feet. Notice how Jury is blocking though. Auto block is set on, and she's blocking low because this move is a true low. Other comparable moves in this game are not lows like this. Like say Jury. Jury has forward heavy punch, and that's a substantially long range move, right? The thing is, they're both mediums, like you can be blocked crouching or standing, and it's also slower. So Honda's is a frame faster and a true low. Jamie's another character, forward heavy kick, very similar to Honda's, right? Has a lot of range, just like Honda. Seems to hit low, but does not actually hit low. It is a mid, which means you can block it crouching or standing, and is still slower. So Honda wins out pretty big time in this category. It's a very strong mid-range poke, faster than comparable mid-range pokes, and unlike other ones, is a true low. So if you're just doing the back and forth walk, Honda will tag your toes every single time. You will get a lot of damage out of this, not the least of which is it does have an additional effect. On punish counter, it causes a hard knockdown and puts the enemy pretty far away, which guarantees a Sumo Spirit buff. So if this connects to punish counter, you're guaranteed a free buff. It's basically a reward. So really, really, really strong normal, all things told. Can't really recommend it enough. Another very critical thing for Honda. This is a Honda special move. A signature move, if you will. Honda has neutral jump, heavy punch. His neutral jump and his diagonal punch, heavy punch are different moves. The neutral punch is what we call the stop sign. So he holds both his hands out, and the thing is, you can steer this move. So once you do the move, hit forward or back, and Honda will very slightly go forward or back. And since you can inch forward or backwards from the neutral jump without having to commit to the full diagonal jump, that means you're very safe. You can just inch forward and say, against a lot of fireballs, you can just kind of work your way in bit by bit and maybe land on someone's head. And of course, being a Furious, a heavy attack button, that means it's very easy to combo into other stuff and, get a nice amount of damage in. So it's always been incremental to his game plan just to be able to inch forward. You can just neutral jump and then see how things go. So say someone does a charging forward move, you can do this backwards and then land on their head. If nothing happens, you can inch forward, gain that space while being overall very safe. You don't have to risk getting hit while walking forward or doing a big unsafe jump forward. It's just worth its weight in gold. It's one of Honda's best moves. And really quick, just to mention some command normals here. So he has a target combo of light punch, medium punch. And it's just really good for combos all in all, because you can just go into headbutt or whatever else. Also combos directly from crouch medium kick. So if you get that low poke in, then you can get a decent little combo anywhere on screen. Specifically in the corner, if you land it and go into light hands, you can actually get some additional follow-ups. Like say an EX Sumo Stomp, or you can go into his level 1 super. So just really good utility all. It's just a really strong workhorse. And speaking of workhorses, for command normals, down forward heavy kick. So this is the big Sumo Stomp, and this is indeed a true overhead. You have to block this standing. If you're crouching, this will hit you. So it doesn't lead to combos in and of itself, although there's setups, which we'll talk about later in the video. And also, one of the very unique things about this is you can cancel the startup of this move into anything you want. So you can say go right in the 100-hand slap, or more importantly is the fake out. When they're worried about blocking this standing because they see this, right? You can instead go from there into the command grab. So it's a classic fake out move. Am I going to hit you with the overhead, or am I going to go with the grab, right? You just see it. You don't think about jumping or grab, because that's not where your mind's at. You see this and like half the stand block. Because specifically, if you jump by the time you see this, it's going to hit you anyways, right? So it's just a really good visual trick. Also, it does target combo from stand medium punch. The stand medium punch down forward heavy kick is a natural target combo. It doesn't combo in and of itself, but it does have that same trick where you can do stand medium punch, go into the stomp, and then cancel the stomp into the grab. So it lets Honda have a little bit of a layer of deception, a little bit of layer of trickiness. So that is some notable normals for Honda. He's still got a bunch of stuff like jump light kicks, cross up, jump down medium kick is also a cross up, jump heavy punch, jump heavy kick. They're good jumping buttons. Like, he's got a lot of stuff. Honda has, in my opinion, better than average normals as far as the roster goes. Now, this section we're going to talk about fireballs for a moment, and specifically predictive versus reactive fireballs. So we've talked a lot about Honda's anti-fireball stuff already. Like, he can clap fireballs away as long as they're a single hit. And also, if you want to just be safe, you can neutral jump and slowly work your way in with neutral jump, heavy punch, and forward or backwards, because maybe you want backward space, right? The stop sign. So on basic level here, he's got like 2 decent ways just to navigate and mitigate around fireballs. But due to his armor on his headbutt, he can also just plow through fireballs, right? So that is reactive. As long as you're not necessarily full screen, but as long as you're a decent away, if you see a fireball, you can just reaction, EX, headbutt, and you'll blow up the enemy. As you can see, that was a punish counter, right? So if you see the fireball, and once again, 2 hits of armor, if you see the fireball, even if it's the EX fireball, you can just plow through that sucker and smack them on the other end. That's how that works for most fireballs, but not all fireballs. Say there's nasty old man Guile. Guile's never been a friendly matchup for Honda in any game over the years, right? And the thing about that reactionary EX headbutt, right? Against Guile, because he recovers so fast, if you see it, he's going to have time to block. And EX headbutt is not safe on block. So if you try to do this, if you just do it when you see it, it's already too late. He's going to block and then he's going to punish you, right? The only way to do it is to do it like predictively. Like, say you know it's going to come, and then you basically hit him out of it or get him at the very start of it, which is very, very risky. Thankfully, we have the Sumo Buttslam, which is part of our predictive anti-fireball strategy, as the move is difficult to deal with by itself, and also plus on block. And even if, say, they parry it or something, gain that meter back, it's still +1, so whatever. As long as you don't get actively punished by it, there's some value to it, and more than just the base hit. Because in the situations where, say, we call out the fireball, right, it has a unique punish counter effect. Specifically, it bounces up the enemy, and when the enemy is bounced up, it actually causes a combo OK state from which we can combo, well, from. So, not a bad chunk of change for calling out the fireball, right? This is a much bigger reward than just landing the move itself. You know, that's about half your life, right? So the punish counter butt slam is there specifically to call out random fireballs. Like, you don't know when they're going to do it. You're just kind of hoping you catch them while doing it. And you hope you don't get punished if you do it too, right? But that's the idea of predicting. It's much better just to go with that than the random EX headbutt, because it's much less safe. There's much less reward. And it's basically tailor-made for, okay, I don't know how to approach, so screw it. Winds of Fate. Hope I catch him throwing a fireball. And if I do, I get a very big combo. So predictive versus reactive, that's the name of the game. Against most characters, if you see the fireball, you can just go for EX headbutt. You'll catch him. Don't worry about it, right? Someone like Guile, not as much. So the Hail Mary butt slam maybe is what the doctor ordered. So now just to quickly talk about Honda versus people who jump a lot. Honda doesn't have an invincible dragon punch style move, nor does he have any frame 1 anti-air invincible moves. But that in mind, considering those lack of, abilities, he has about as good as you can possibly get in this game. So 1, he has stand heavy punch. Is pretty forgiving, all things told, for stopping jumps. Can stop jumps above his head directly. Can stop jumps coming in at more of an angle. It's pretty good. That's just one button. And of course, the headbutts, right? All versions of headbutts, light, medium, and heavy, have some level of anti-air invincibility. Not frame 1, but after a few frames, the anti-air invincibility kicks in. So if you see a jump, you headbutt it, you're good to go. Also, specifically, EX Buttslam also has some anti-air invincibility. Not frame 1, but it kicks in really quick. And also, it's Buttslam, right? So you can catch people from pretty far away if they're doing jumps or thinking, they're otherwise safe. The EX version also starts up at an absolutely ridiculous 6 frames. So I don't know. I got nothing to add there. It's just silly. So there's a lot of good stuff. Also, specifically against cross-ups. So on top of all the usual stuff, say you're dealing with some kind of cross-up, right? Because cross-ups are going to happen. Stand heavy punch, not as good against cross-ups. If you do headbutts at normal timing, not as good against cross-up. EX Butt Slam, which has the invincibility against air attacks, not so good against cross-ups. So what you got to do is just wait a hot second. Headbutt, do the headbutt, but do it late. And when you do it late, instead of going crazy like that, you'll then cross-cut. It'll read your forward input as a backwards input and flip to match the new facing that you are, and then do the headbutt correctly. Even though I hit forward and punch, it will still give me the headbutt on the other side, right? And this applies just same like EX Headbutt has the frame 1 armor, very handy. EX Butt Slam, if you do it too quick, you'll go flying in the other direction. But if you wait for a split second here for the cross-up to happen, it'll auto-correct and go the other side. So when it comes to cross-ups, you can't do everything as fast as you would like. It does entail a little bit of patience, but all the tools are still there. So for a character without the frame 1 invincible anti-air dragon punch or flash kick or whatever, Honda's doing very, very good in the anti-air department. Now let's give a brief overview of Honda in neutral. Honda, he's slow. Like, as simple as that, right? Your bursts of mobility will be stuff like random sumo butt stomp or random headbutt. So that's great. Those are the things that annoy people, right? But for the most part, besides that, especially against characters with fireballs, you're going to be doing a lot of the old walk and block, because he doesn't have much recourse otherwise. Now, the thing that definitely works in Honda's favor is his button suite is actually very good. It's not as long range as some other characters, but it's just solid enough, right? It's not outstanding, except for maybe specifically forward heavy kick, because that has range and speed, and it's a low. And a lot of characters can't necessarily easily compete with this button. But for other things like stand medium punch, or rather crouch medium punch, these are going to be workhorses. They have a ton of active frames, more active frames than most moves. They are both special cancelable. So if you're looking to just toss them out and trying to whiff punish something, or just contest space, you can easily buffer a special move into it, like say crouch medium punch. If you're tossing it out to contest space and just buffer in heavy punch hands, Heavy punch hands moves forward enough that you will absolutely just go forward and get that counter hit combo. It is already a natural combo as well, so that is very handy. So it's just a good contest space button. Once again, 4 active frames, right? So it's out there for a long time. So if people stick out a button into it, easy do, right? And worst case scenario with trades, whatever, generally speaking, trades work in Honda's favor, especially with our favorite, the random headbutt. So I'm not going to give you the secret of the random headbutt because there is no secret, right? Medium punch and heavy punch headbutts are the ones you want to toss. The one thing I would suggest is don't just chuck them out from full screen, because if you do, that's going to be very easy to drive impact. But the thing is about drive impact, mid-screen's where the magic happens. Because mid-screen, they cannot react as fast as they can from, say, full screen. And if they don't necessarily react as fast as they could, you can drive impact back in time and get a full combo. So yes, drive impact is certainly a tool. Like right there, that was early enough as a punish counter, right? It certainly is a tool that will work against headbutt. But if it's not done fast enough, you are playing with fire big time, because Honda can just go and full combo you back, right? So the annoyance of the headbutt is not necessarily worth that risk. Now, one thing people will do, and you will get caught, just straight up, I'm going to tell you right now, is parry. Because here's the thing about parry. Parry naturally enough, I'll make it bounce off you, right? It doesn't change the frame date or anything. You're not going to get a punish or nothing like that, right? Even with the fact that parry lessens the distance on block, you're still not going to be able to reach with any button, so that's not going to be a thing. But what you want to do in situations is when you're blocking, you want to try to fish with the parry, because there's the off chance when you parry, you might land and get the perfect parry. Sometimes, if you're too quick, you just get the parry. Sometimes if you're too slow, you just block. You're still good, but with the perfect parry, well then, you know, things are going to work out and you're going to get that damage, right? Now, there is one thing to note here. So I got 1,500 damage, which is roughly the damage of like a headbutt and some extra, right? Which means it doesn't necessarily dissuade you. Like, that's going to be an ongoing theme. A lot of the best punishes, a lot of the best ways to deal with Honda stuff isn't damaging enough to stop Honda from doing what you're going to do. And I'm going to tell you right now. So people are going to perfect parry your headbutts. But for the most part, they're not going to make it count enough for you to stop tossing out the headbutts, right? Which means every time you're roughly around here, what's going to happen is actually to your benefit, right? Even if they're a demon and they perfect parry every headbutt, that's all they're going to be looking for. So now when they're so scared of the headbutt, what can you do? You can just walk forward. Like, space isn't going to be contested anymore. They're not hitting buttons. They're just like, okay, where's the headbutt? Where's the headbutt? Where's the headbutt? I'm going to react to the headbutt. I'm going to react to the headbutt. And they're not worrying about jumps. They're not worrying about you doing like random drive rushes in the combos. They're not just worried about you just walking up and hitting buttons yourself. It dominates so much of the mental conversation that it's actually amazing. It's actually the biggest brain move. Like, people deride this move as stupid and dumb, right? No, man. This move takes up so much of people's mental capacity that they're so scared of it and trying to like do the sick counterplay around it that it lets you just do anything else, because that's all they're looking for. And speaking of great tools, random butt slam, right? So random butt slam, it can cross up, it can land like kind of, if you space it correctly, it can land just directly on people's heads. That both the cross up itself and where it's going to land is quite ambiguous. And more importantly, that very difficult to deal with. Now, obvious butt slams are fairly easy to defeat. Like, straight up. Like, there's so many ways around it. If you got like a Shoryuken or anti-air invincible move, if it's just straight out in front of you, like, you can even drive impact it, right? Like, oh, you're saying, okay, whatever. The idea is you want to aim it kind of directly on top of their head. Because once you start doing that, then a lot of the easy answers come less easy. Once again, you can steer the move, right? It can be closer, it can be medium distance, or it can be further. And a lot of times the further one is the answer. Like, where is it going to cross up or is it not going to cross up, right? You don't even know. So how are they going to know? And then a lot of the, you know, easy moves, easy buttons, they start becoming less easy, right? Like, I actually didn't even know that was going to happen. I'm not going to edit that out, right? Like, it crossed me up. It didn't, like, it's not a cross up normally, but in trying to Sumo Headbutt it became a cross up. That time I just went flying the wrong direction, right? So a lot of the good answers aren't so good when it's directly on top of your head. At which point, the real best answer is just parry. Because parry will deal with the cross-up. It'll deal with the same side. Like, yeah, he's still technically +1 if you parry it. But, like, oh well, right? Like, at least you're not going to die. Now, some characters, like, say, Guile, is blessed with, like, Crouch Heavy Punch, which just goes all the way straight up. So even if moves like Flash Kick might not work the way you would hope, right? Because it's directly on top of you. But since it's directly on top of you, the move that goes literally straight up, kind of worth its weight in gold in dealing with the move, right? Because, well, there you go. Now, here's another fantastic thing about tossing out random butt slams. So the buttons, like, you know, it's a kick move, right? The buttons, the move is all the way to the same startup, everything, till the landing. Now, most of the time, you're going to use the heavy kick version because the button you press affects the landing time. So the heavy kick version falls the fastest. The medium kick version falls not as fast, and the light kick version actually falls quite slow, which can mess up timing. So now in that scenario we just went over, right? Guile, okay, whatever. I'm going to snipe it with Crouch Heavy Punch. Who cares? I'm not dealing with this gimmick. Say if we did the light kick version instead. Since the light kick version has different fall speed, it messes up the timing. What was once a sure deal for Guile to punish, now the timing he would use before doesn't work. So he would have to, like, delay. And delay does work, right? It will beat it. But now say we go back to the heavy kick timing, and if we go for the delayed version, you get crushed, right? So not only is it difficult to deal with when it's directly on top of your head, the few characters that can easily deal with it, like say Guile, the different kick timings have different fall times, and you can use that to mess with it. It's difficult to deal with, admittedly, very difficult. The safest way is just parry. Because if you do stuff like, you know, oh, I'm just going to drive impact, if he does it directly on top of your head, the drive impact is not going to work the way you think it is. Because it is just straight up going to be unpredictable. Do it too early, it might be one way. Do it too late, it might be another way, right? Who really knows? When it's on your head, drive impact's not a viable thing to do. If he does it poorly spaced and it's like very easily in front of you, yes, then it's a good button. But the idea is you aim it, so you're going to be directly falling on top of their head, left, right, who knows, doesn't matter really. Honda's ass will guide you where it needs to go, right? But yeah, so the idea is those sumo butt slams in neutral, aim it on top of the enemy's head, and they're going to be in for a very, very bad time. So in our next section here, we're going to get a little weird with a very edge case technique, and that is delay meaty clap combos. So clap, destroys fireballs, claps his hands, there you go, right? Now, if we turn on our handy pal, the frame data meter. So it has 5 total active frames, right? And if it hits on the first active frame, which it almost always would, it'll be +3. But if we can get it to just kind of hit just a little bit later in the active frames, there we go. See, hit later in the active frames. Now it's +5 on hit. And +5 on hit means it would go, say, into stand light punch, because that's 5 frames. So there are a few edge case combos where you can force the move to hit later in the active frames, giving more frame advantage and then, well, gaining combos. So let me give you the easiest possible example first. So crouch medium kick, +5, so it goes into stand light punch. And if you do this at point blank range, and then do that combo and go into clap, clap will not hit on the first frame. It'll hit later in its active frames, and it'll leave you +7, which means you can relink into more combos. Say something like that, right? And it's 2,500, so not too bad. That's a bit more damage than, say, if you went the more normal combo route, right? So on multiple levels, timing's more strict, but it's something you can do. Also, if you want to do it off a jump down medium kick, the belly flop, either in the cross-up version or in the normal, just like same side version, that is generally the way to do it if you want to do it off a jump. Look something like that, right? Now, there's a distinct weakness to this tech in that it only works on standing opponents. So the exact same combo here, and if Cammy was crouching, it'll still connect, but now it'll connect on the first active frame. So the combo no longer works the same way it did. So they have to be standing. So that's definitely a weakness. Now, thankfully, there are ways to force standing, and Honda has specifically two. Heavy kick forces standing, and also the clap itself also forces standing. So that is two ways that if you're doing a combo, you can force standing. So now let me give you another example here where you could get this like delayed meaty clap to hit late and then combo from it. So if you have the buff up and you're in the corner, EX hand slaps is +6, which means, you know, it can link into various things. But specifically here, we only care about stand, light kick, which would combo into anyways even without the buff. But we need the buff to combo into it. As with the buff and the stand light kick, it leaves us at the exact correct spacing to hit later in the active frames, and therefore, once again, +7. So say you're working your way to the corner, like say you get like a hit or something like this. Then you can use that just to sneak in just a little bit extra damage. Not a lot more because there is scaling, but it's a little bit more optimal than the basic combos. Now, say we merge our examples together here, it'll look something like this. And there you go. So is that the most optimal combo? Probably not, because there's so many hits that the scaling just got so out of whack, right? But it's certainly flashy, right? And Honda, he doesn't have much in the way of flashy, so it's good. So this is edge case tech. Like the only other example I know of where I can definitely force the clap to happen is like very odd. So you need the buff up, and this has to be off a drive rush. So you need the drive rush crouch medium kick, then stand heavy kick, then clap, and then burn the clap on the buff into specifically light. Punch 100 hand slap, not medium. I know it combos into medium, but it has to be light for the very strict spacing that it needs. And there, as you can see, not a lot. It's different than the other ones, but when it connects, it's +4, which will link into another jab, and then you can link into like a headbutt or something, right? So it's very edge case tech, but it's very interesting tech. I think this is something that in the following weeks, months, years, this could definitely be like a signature of Honda as people figure out more optimal routes. But for now, I've armed you with some of the basics of the knowledge. So that is how meaty claps work in this game. Now, in this section, let's talk Honda and the burnout state, because he's amazing at it at two reasons. One, he's amazing at forcing it, and once you're already in burnout state, he's amazing at abusing it. So let's start with the showstopper here. Fierce Headbutt drains an entire drive gauge meter on block. And you're going to be blocking a lot of headbutts. The medium version does a mere 85% of a drive gauge, right? So between medium headbutt and heavy headbutt, since you're blocking a lot of these bad boys over the course of the match, and you know you'd rather be blocking than getting hit by them, right? You're going to be losing a lot of drive gauge. Also, butt slams. So the butt slam, if he lands on you and you didn't parry it, also is almost a full drive gauge. And if it hits on the way up and on the way down, that is well over a drive gauge loss. So those two things like by themselves, which are two of the signature moves of the character, will be draining a lot of your drive gauge. Not to mention a lot of his signature pokes. So stand heavy punch is about half a gauge. Forward heavy kick is about 70% of a gauge. And if you're looking to fight the footsie war, you're going to be blocking a lot of these as well, right? So this is a very key move. And it just all adds up. Like, if you just start blocking stuff, like, you are going to be eating whatever normals, and whatever normals are probably going to be canceled into a headbutt at the end. And it's all going to add up very, very, very fast. Honda will very easily and easier than most characters be able to enforce the burnout state on you. And once that happens, well, that's the magic for Honda. So with the frame data on here, a lot of Honda's frame data is specifically tailored to the fact of burnout. Because burnout, whatever you block, is +4 more than it already is, right? So say clap. Clap is -3 on block. So on burnout is +1. Stance punches, -3 on block. So in burnout is +1. Light hands, -4 on block, which means it's 0. Headbutt -4 on block, which means it's 0. So now you can see Cammy's in Burnout, right? So hands, 0 on block, good amount of chip. Headbutt, good amount of chip, 0 on block. Clap, plus on block. Stance punches, plus on block. So he has a lot of ways to just mess you up. EX hands also plus on block, by the way, +1. So you can go like jab, EX hands, plus jab, EX hands, plus jab, EX hands, and enforce a good amount of chip damage on the enemy. Also say any normal, right? Canceled into clap. That's +1. So say stand light kick, right? So light kick into clap, and if I hit light kick again, then, well, you're gonna get hit, right? If you press anything. And if not, you have to accept the chip damage that's coming your way over and over and over. It's also a natural combo. You're mashing buttons, right? So that's that. If you have buff up too, by the way, remember clap goes into hands. So he can like get a full combo on you much more so. Once you're in Burnout, it's kind of just always Honda's turn. Like you just kind of got to groove on it. The worst he's going to be is neutral. Everything is going to do a lot of chip damage. Let's look at a scenario here where you're not allowed to hit a button. Because I'm always plus in this scenario. That's, you know, say a good 20% of your life just lost purely chip damage. So his ability to bully you just while you're in Burnout and get the damage in, get the chip damage in is exceptional. Honda is a character where you need to learn your Burnout setups because he's able to not only enforce it easier, force you into Burnout because every one of these that you blocked is one drive gauge gone, right? The chip damage is also going to be exceptional, so you're going to have to worry about just random chip death as well, because even a couple blocked headbutts in Burnout might be the end of the game for you. So yeah, Burnout, learn how to abuse your foe in Burnout, because that is one of Honda's strengths. So now just a couple quick tricks here. So Honda has a classic returning trick. His level 2 super is charge backwards, right? Then forward, back, forward, and then you hit your button, your kick, and you get your level 2 super. And ideally, you know, you use it to go through fireballs and all that kind of stuff, right? So one thing you can use to help just your anticipatory reaction and also gain a little space forward, meaning it's just that much easier to actually connect with your move, is the game will allow you, while you're charging back, to dash forward as part of your forward input, then hit back forward again and still get your level 2. As shown here. So you have just a little bit of leeway in the input buffer to dash forward, then do the move. So say if you happen to be further away, right? You just do it, dash forward, and just see if there's something to catch. If there's a fireball toss, if there's a button whiffed, you're using this to move just a bit closer and also react if something happens. Like say from literally full screen, if I react like this to DJ's fireball, he will have time to block. So it behooves me to be closer than full screen if I'm actually going to react in time, right? And that's where if I just dash forward and like looking for stuff while I'm dashing forward, that can help out big time. This is one of those things where like, this is admittedly edge case tech, right? This is not going to, you're going to use a lot, but it's nice to know it's there. So keep it in mind. It's a little bit of classic tech that has survived onwards into Street Fighter 6. Another piece of classic returning tech from older Street Fighters is the instant overhead. So this has to do with like irregularities of how blocking works. So what Honda's going to do here to me, he's just going to jump kick me and jump back and do jump light punch. So that doesn't seem much in and of itself, right? But the jumps are naturally, they're overheads. So you have to block them standing, right? If you block them crouching, then you know, you're probably going to get jumped on, right? And that's not going to work. So you got to block them standing, but you have to block both of them standing. So if I block the first one, then crouch block, as you can see, Honda still connects with the second hit. I am holding down back. But the way the block stun works is that fierce kick forces me to be remaining in standing block stun the whole time. So I still count as standing, but I'm holding down back, which as a crouch. So that means in this scenario, I cannot block that move. Because, you know, most times after a jump, like you're going to go for like a low or something. That's what you would expect anyway. So you're going to default after the jump to crouch blocking. But in this scenario, Honda can scam you out with a second overhead much faster than going for, say, his natural overhead. Now, as you can see, it does not do much damage. The idea of this is, say, the enemy's cornered or something, and you're looking just to scam out that last little sliver of damage. Because why would you expect 2 overheads in a row very fast? You wouldn't. You just wouldn't. So that's what this tech is for. Now, in the interest of fairness, to show this off, there's many instant overheads in this game that only work on the large characters, like, say, Marissa, JP, and Zangief. This works on everyone. So here's Lily, who's the shortest character in the game, and this technique works the same on Lily as it does everyone else. So this is a universal technique. Once again, this technique only exists in the rare scenarios where the enemy has just a sliver of health left, and you're just looking to scam that tiny little bit of damage to win the round. This is the only real time it's useful, but when it's applicable, it will win you the round. And I can guarantee, for the most part, the enemy will not be expecting it. Also, since it's all in true block stun, they cannot, say, mash uppercuts out of it. Like, I'm trying to hit uppercut here with Lily. Doesn't work. I can only do it after the move is already done. So it's not going to get mashed out of or anything like that, right? So edge case technique, yes. But the instant overhead will win you rounds when the opportunity arises. Our next few sections are all about the frame data, so we're going to have our frame data meter turned on here because we're going to need it. This is Okizeme, aka post knockdown pressure. And let's start with maybe the most important one and the easiest one to enforce, and that is literally anything off butt slam. Doesn't matter if it's a raw butt slam, a combo butt slam, like whatever. So it doesn't matter, just butt slam the enemy, and we're plus 23, right? Honda has a faster than average dash, 19 frames. It doesn't go far, but as far as like the frame count goes, it is faster than average. And simple math here, if we are advantage 23 frames, and then we dash right afterwards with our 19 framer, then we're plus 4. And we're plus 4 in the enemy's face. The enemy is currently set to back roll, so to get the maximum amount of distance away from us, and it does not matter. We dash and we're just in their face, which means immediately it's time to start guessing. In the interest of fairness, we'll be doing this against a more slender character just so it's not like a hurtbox thing because Honda's big, right? So plus 4, and here's how this works from this point onwards. So once again, it can be literally any combo, butt slam, dash forward, plus 4, and from here, you are in exact range to go crouch light kick, crouch light punch. Which means, if they hit anything or they try to walk out, you can get a basic little combo like that guaranteed, right? Easy hit confirm. So that's great. It's not a lot of damage, although if you have level 3 on deck, that might be the end of the game, just FYI, right? So at bare minimum, that's layer 1, right? Okay, I can hit these buttons here, start with a low, and if you press any button, or if you try to jump out, you're done. And why would they try to jump out? Because after butt slam forward dash, you are in exact range to do heavy Oicho grab. And that does significant damage, right? And in fact, the only way really out of that is for them to backdash out or to jump out. And once again, if they try to backdash out or jump out, this will catch them. So that's layer 1. That's the basic stuff. You can hit heavier buttons because you're still plus 4. You'll still win, right? But that's kind of layer 1. Just do butt slam, forward dash, hit buttons, or try to go for the grab. So not only did you get the damage from whatever combo you did the butt slam from, you also have very strong pressure afterwards. So that's layer 1, and that's the most important layer. I'll give you a second layer though, just for fun. So after butt slam, immediately do a drive rush forward, and then after that drive rush forward, do stand medium punch. And what's going to happen is that stand medium punch, because it has 4 active frames, we talked about this earlier in the video, that's why it's so good, very active, right? That stand medium punch, not only is it going to hit from the drive rush, which gives it more advantage frames, it's going to hit in the drive rush in the active frames later, giving it even more advantage frames. Specifically, if it connects, so if they hit buttons or press whatever they do, it's going to be plus 11, which means it would link into stand heavy punch. Say I go into my basic butt slam combo, we're doing this here. That's a natural combo, right? So we got whatever, and then we got another almost 3,000 because that connected. So on this base level here, it's frame perfect because it hits later in the active frames. There's no way out other than an invincible move. And if it connects, go into heavy punch. It's our most damaging heavy normal, special cancelable, and headbutt or whatever, and combo. Now what if they block? So same setup here. Once again, hits later in the active frames, and we're +8. That's a lot of plus to be, especially directly in the enemy's face. So +8 means we can safely do another stand medium punch, and there's no button they have fast enough to contest us. So we can do that, and then it's plus on block, and if it hits, then, you know, that also goes into, you know, whatever combos, right? So that's all great. And in this scenario, because we're, you know, very plus in their face, we can also just delay a split second, go for the grab, right? And the heavy grab at that because we're right beside them. So that's layer 2. So layer 1, just 4 dash, you can already press buttons. Layer 2 is much more dominant advantage frames, both for combos if it hits, and also if it blocks, you can force even stronger mix-ups with better buttons. Now, I did mention the weakness of, you know, if they reverse, then you get blown up, right? And many drive rush things in this game, if you see the drive rush at all, then the reversal is like actually guaranteed. However, in either scenario here, after the 4 dash, we can just simply down back, right? We're advantage. And also with the scenario here with the drive rush, if we hit buttons, yes, we'll get blown up. However, we have just enough advantage that after the drive rush, we can actually down back in time. We have exactly 2 frame difference here before we're allowed to block, but we can block. So if they're going to mash a reversal, we can block in time and blow it up. So very safe. Butt slam is going to be the move you want to end most combos with when applicable. And after the fact, either just the raw dash or the drive rush, medium punch, whatever. Very, 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 very strong pressure after the fact. Use it, abuse it. So that was butt slams. Another thing you're going to end a lot of combos in is headbutts. Now, just FYI, all headbutts, regardless of the strength, they're all the same knockdown, right? So it's always going to be 40 frames. Mid-screen, you don't really get much, because especially if the enemy back rolls, like that's a full screen reset, right? But what it does give you is a guaranteed buff. Sumo Spirit is 100% guaranteed. No one can punish you for doing it. So that's great. But now let's say, you know, you work them to the corner, which is the idea. And what happens after you get a headbutt in the corner? You're +40. And now we can work out some frame kill scenarios. Specifically, say we do the headbutt. Once again, it can be any version. And we whiff stand heavy punch. And when that stand heavy punch gets whiffed, we're 6 frames of advantage. So after that whiffs, it's very much our turn here. Even when I botched the timer right there, right? I was a little slow. Still 4 frames of advantage. So no matter how you work it out, it's going to be your turn. So you can hit, like, say, medium punch. You're definitely going to go first. So the enemy has to be okay with the fact that whatever buttons you press, you are 100% the one going first. They press anything, they're going to lose. And now, if they're going to lose, I don't want to press any buttons, right? And if they don't want to press any buttons, then it's grab time. Because once again here, 6 frames of advantage. Our grab comes out in 7 frames. So there is literally no possible button they can press to win. So here, Cammy's going to wake up with a 4-frame move, right? Just to show you how easily we're going to win every time. Headbutt with heavy punch. Crouch medium kick, we win. Go into whatever combo, right? That's great. Headbutt with heavy punch. Go right into command grab. She has no time to get that jab off. So no matter what, we're always going first. We're always at the advantage. And that's very basic, but that's very powerful because once again, you're going to be ending a lot of combos with headbutts in the corner. So work it out yourself. It's all quite strong. Another thing we can do in the corner from a headbutt, it get a little trickier. So a different frame kill setup. So the other one, we whiff heavy punch, we're advantage. This one here, what we're going to whiff here is crouch light kick, which I know seems weird, right? Because it's +25 even after whiffing crouch light kick. So what are we going to do with +25? Well, the sumo stomp, the overhead, 22 frame startup. And if it's +25, that means it's going to hit later in the active frames. So say, normally if it connects, it's +3. But if we do the setup here, that +3 just became +7. Because it hits once again in the later active frames, which changes the frame data of the move. And now that it's +7, we can get different combos. So it's more just to scam people out, because the overhead is slower, it is seeable. But the thing is, say even if they block it, if they know it's coming, since it hits later in those active frames, the move is now advantage on block. So even if they block the overhead and you don't get your combo, it is still your turn. Normally this move is -3 on block, so not punishable, sure, but it is decidedly not your turn. If you're both hitting buttons, they're going to win. But now if it's +1, if you hit crouch light punch, they hit any button, your crouch light punch is going to win instead. So full combo on hit, advantage on block. So pretty sweet deal. So that's another layer of pressure after a Sumo Headbutt in the corner. Now another thing with Sumo Headbutt is, once again, +40 on hit, right? But if you can manage to hit the enemy just a little higher in the air, it changes the frame data to +42 or better. And specifically what we're looking at here is we want Sumo Headbutt to be anywhere from +42 to +44, because then we get a safe jump setup. So a safe jump here is as simple as just literally you jump, hit a button, land, and if they don't do anything or if they block, it's gonna connect, right? If it hits, that's perfect. But if they block whatever, you know, it's still advantage, right? But if they try to do something silly and, like, you know, try to uppercut their way out of it, well, the safe jump keeps you safe. So here we're gonna have Cammy just mash that uppercut, like frame 1, as soon as she recovers, right? And for us, safe jump means we're safe. She can mash it all day long. It is not gonna keep her alive, because we'll just block and then punish, right? And if she doesn't do anything invincible, then when we do our combo here, our safe jump setup, then we connect. So it's really as simple as, if she's standing still, blocking or otherwise, we connect. And if she's invincible, either from the uppercut or a level 3 super or whatever, then we land in time to block. So if we connect, sure, we can do something like this. And if they're invincible, we land safely in time to block, because we'll be holding down back, right, to do our combo. And we get the block and we get to punish it. It's really that easy. So Honda's enemy, when you're doing the combo with the headbutt, has to be a little bit off the ground. It can either be from like light punch, medium punch, target combo. It can be from the sumo launcher. What you want to do in that case is just ever so slightly delay. If you do it immediately, they're going to be so high up. They're going to be either like +47. They could be a little bit less, like +45. And that's just too much, because then your kick won't even connect. It'll just be too early, right? So just tiny delay, then headbutt them. And as long as you're in that +42 to +44 range, then it's as simple as just neutral jump, kick, and if it connects, it connects. And if they do something invincible, you block and get to punish it and go from there. Safe jumps are very powerful because it removes all the options from the enemy. They just have to sit there and like it, right? And of course, once they feel powerless, once you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll just sit and block, well, then you can do something like that, right? It always comes back to a throw in the end. So yeah, safe jump setup, very, very powerful, and Honda can fairly easily enforce one in the corner as long as you juggle them first. Now let's keep with the corner theme. So we showcased a couple combos here that can go into like level 1 super in the corner or level 2 super in the corner. This is equally applicable for both. And as long as they're not too high up off the ground, specifically the frame advantage will always be 13 frames of advantage. So it's actually a very easy setup. All we got to do, crouch heavy punch. So normally +3 frames of advantage for a crouch heavy punch, right? If we do it after our little combo here and hit it as fast as possible, now it's +6, just simply because we're hitting later in the active frames, which means then say we can go back into light punch, into target combo, back into another loop or whatever, and Bob's your uncle. And if it's blocked, normally on block, this is not punishable, but it's negative, right? And if they block it, then it's just 0. You're neutral. So this works off almost every time you would combo into a level 1 in the corner, because even if they're higher up when you do it, when you still hit them, it's still going to be 13 frames. They have to be exceptionally high up for it to be not 13 frames. And if you do your level 2 super and it's anywhere near the corner, it'll corner them. And by the end of it, when you know it, 13 frames. So just smash on that crouch heavy punch and it's combos if it hits. And if you get blocked, it's complete neutral reset, so nothing the matter. So basic, but powerful. And there you go. That was a long video. Honda's gassed, right? He's trying his best here, but after all that, he's ready for a nap. That said, though, I hope over the course of this video I taught you a lot about Honda. He's a very interesting character. This might be my favorite incarnation of the character ever, honestly, because he's got a lot of fun tools to play with, and he's got a lot of stupid things to play with. Sometimes the advanced tech isn't the real meat of fighting games. Sometimes you just want to spam some headbutts and spam some butt slams and have a grand old time, and then turns out spamming those headbutts and butt slams also is high level play too. So just kind of works out in the end, right? So if you made it this far, if you could give the video a like or share the video to your friends, that would be greatly appreciated, as these videos take a very, very long time to make. And otherwise, go out and just spread the joy of sumo with eHonda. And until then, my friends, we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.